The pharmaceutical giant Pfizer set a world record recently when they announced their annual sales from 2021, $1 billion. Now, that wasn't just a record for Pfizer. That was a record for the entire pharmaceutical industry. And what's more, Pfizer is projecting $100 billion of sales for 2022 on the back of their COVID-19 partnership with BioNTech. So that's why something was very curious and quirky when they made a concurrent announcement that they were actually cutting their sales force. Typically and historically in the pharmaceutical industry, boom times have meant more feet on the street. But Pfizer's research shows that medical professionals are going to continue to prefer that the majority of their sales contact with pharmaceutical reps, even after the pandemic, is virtual. It's more efficient for them. And frankly, it must be more efficient for Pfizer. That's why the cuts are happening. But this isn't just a pharmaceutical thing. It's a B2B wide thing because a McKinsey report states that 80% of all B2B buyers prefer virtual sales experiences versus live sales experiences. And so this trend towards more virtual is probably going to lead to more sales staff cuts. Does this signify a permanent reduction in the power of the sales function in B2B companies? No. In fact, it's going to usher in a new golden age of sales effectiveness because sales is finally going to get some help from what should have been a functional ally for a long time now, but hasn't been, marketing. I'll tell you why in a second. But the divide, the feud, if you will, between sales and marketing is almost legendary in business. A Forrester report showed that 92% of companies report that the marketing and sales collaboration at their firm is less than optimal. A completely different report from Aberdeen Research found that the small percentage of companies that do actually have tight collaboration between sales and marketing have 25% faster sales growth over a 3-year period. So what's the problem in 9 out of 10 firms? Well, if you listen to the salesforce, the biggest critics would say, marketing does not understand what goes on in a sales call. And therefore, their strategies, their collateral, their lead development is all ineffective. Now, Mary and I are the biggest marketing advocates that you'll find. However, I have to admit, there's a little bit of truth to this sentiment, at least in my personal experience. I started as a marketer, I moved to sales for a while, and then I came back to marketing. And I was a much better marketer the second time around. What does all this have to do with sales and marketing cooperation? Well, this movement towards more virtual sales calls is going to remove the time and space barrier that marketing had to participating in more sales calls and getting more practical and more knowledgeable about what really goes on. The excuse that sales takes me out of the office, participating in sales calls takes me out of the office too much, is no longer valid. Marketing is going to be able to participate in virtual sales calls without leaving the office or see recorded virtual calls. And guess what? Just that exposure alone is going to make them more practical in their strategies, their lead development, in their collateral development. But this opportunity and this coming together of sales and marketing is not going to happen on its own. Blood is too bad. It's been going on too long. So curious leaders are going to have to take a very active role in bringing the two functions together. At the very least, mandating a minimal amount of sales calls that marketers have to participate in or view to become more practical. The most forward-thinking leaders will actually collapse the sales and marketing functions into one commercialization function where they all work together. And maybe the middle ground between those two extremes is to create some shared compensation dependent metric between sales and marketing, like lead to close ratios or something like that. In any event, it looks like the pandemic is going to accomplish what human beings couldn't, and that is bringing marketing and sales together. But it's not going to happen on its own. Leaders have to be proactive to take advantage of the opportunity, and those that do will reap the rewards of greater sales and top line growth.